Welcome to the LandLife podcast with your host, PJ Riley.
Hey guys, welcome to the LandLife podcast. My name is PJ Riley. Before we get started, I want to remind you, like, share, subscribe, go to YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, every place that we have this podcast, guys, give me a like, and let's help out the podcast. So today we got a guy on the podcast who can do 1,000 burpees in a row. He can choke you out. And he's super successful in business. Met this guy through Arete, which is the mastermind group that we're part of. And so Dave Greene from Crossfit Spiro, why don't you introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are, kind of how you got started and how you got to this point here.
Yeah, well, thanks. You're kind of building me up a lot. I think I can only go down from here. I don't know if I've ever done 1,000 burpees in a row, but
today's the day.
Challenge
has been set.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, let's see. Born and raised in the Chicago suburbs. I did project management for a construction company for about 12 years. Specialty finishes contractor, high-end like paint and ornamental plaster restoration. So we used to say like we were rebuilding or restoring the cultural fabric of America. And to give you kind of an idea what we did, I've worked on 7 state capitals, dozens of churches, government buildings, state, municipal, federal level. The company I work for has painted or restored almost every theater in Manhattan, not literally, but high-end stuff. You're talking about the Colorado State Capitol, like we gilded the dome. That was one of the last projects that I think we were bidding on it while, in the last year I was there.
Yeah.
So did that for 12 years, highly disenchanted and with my previous employer, who happened to be my uncle, which is a whole nother story in and of itself. And had found, CrossFit, it's one of those kind of quintessential CrossFit stories where it's like my buddies have been telling me to do it for years. And I finally pulled the trigger and it changed my life. It kind of reminded me of my own fitness and athleticism that I had when I was younger. I was 34, 35 when I started CrossFit, and I played like collegiate sports, nothing like D1 or anything, but I was a lacrosse player. I played intercollegiate club level lacrosse for a D3 school in California, but like we went up against like UCLA and Stanford and some big schools and had a lot of fun while I was out there. So anyway, started to get my fitness back on point, and I started to like watch people in the gyms I was a part of. And this was all on the East Coast. I was working out of Manhattan at the time, and you'd see like this transformation that would happen to people. Like, it was like mostly like women. You'd see some lady like 30 years old or whatever, and like she does the first pull up ever in her life, and you kind of see this like light go on in her eyes, and like the expansion of possibility or potential. And it's like, oh man, if I work hard enough, like what can't I do? And it's like, and I was like, oh man, I want to help people do that. And so disenchanted with my old employer. I was 38 years old at the time. I decided to quit my job, decided to divorce my ex-wife, moved back home from New York to Chicago, opened up a gym, and I was living in my buddy's attic, who was also a recent divorcee. He had 2 kids that he would see on the weekends, and I started my gym, my current business, in a garage in Chicago, unheated. My clients would come. I had one lady that was awesome. 5 a.m. in the winter. I have a little space heater on kettlebells and dumbbells and barbells, and we're out there just doing the thing. And fast forward 8 years, I own my own building. It's a 6,000 square foot facility. March was our highest grossing month ever. Q1 of 2022 was about 34% over Q1 of 2021. We're on a great trajectory. I've launched a remote coaching online endeavor now also, so I'm expanding my services, and that largely is due to inspiration I found from another RTA member, and I saw he kind of gave me a glimpse of what he's doing, and I was like, holy shit, like, like you're using all the same software and systems I'm doing, like I should be doing that too. And so anyway, that's the last 8 years of my life, I guess, in a 30 seconds or whatever.
That's very impressive. So let's unpack that a little bit. Initially, you say, okay, so you have this great job. You're building, amazing buildings, all over the country. You said all internationally even. Now, I understand you wanted to help people. That's huge. That's a big deal. But man, to leave a job you're doing so well at, and to completely change everything, what was going through your mind? Like, what was the mental thought? What was the thought process that was like, I'm going to do this, dude? This is like the thing.
Well, it's like I left an apparent like 7-figure salary. Like I was, for all intents and purposes, heir apparent to that business. And but I was watching the grind that my uncle put in, and he's working 100-hour weeks, and he is less than an ideal father. And I was looking at my cousins who have been in a lot of trouble and struggled, and I said, is it really worth it for me to am I going to feel whole or fulfilled if I stay on this path? And there were a lot of negative factors in my life. I was really, really depressed. I was in a marriage that was just horrible, and it basically went south right from the wedding day. And like I filed the divorce paperwork, I think about 1.5 years into our wedding, our marriage, and I was drinking excessively. It was I was in a bad spot, and I really wanted to do something that I felt would have more impact in the world. And long before, this is 2014, I'm talking about, I started CrossFit Spiro. My mission and the vision of the gym has always been to change the face of health in this country or globally if we can, and that's long before this, current pandemic that we're in, because I saw that, people are suffering, they're not living healthy lifestyles, they're very miserable. And maybe we can do something about that. Maybe we can help be role models, teach people to be role models for their families and their communities. And so I made the leap, and I've always had this vision of what I wanted to do, and tried to hold to the standard of excellence. And here we are 8 years later, we're killing it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you have this desire, you had a passion, you had all these, emotional things. What experience did you have starting a gym? Because I know a lot of people are going to say, man, I can't go into business. I can't start my own business. I don't have any experience. I have no idea what I'm doing. So how does Dave Greene do it?
Yeah.
How can Dave Greene help other people that are like thinking, I've never started a gym. How do I begin?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, it's for me, it was very much, I don't know if cocksure is the word, but I've always been optimistic, and I've always had confidence, and I've always had an unrelenting vision, this is where I'm going to go. And the short answer was, fake it till you make it. I got some certifications. I had to apply to open a CrossFit facility. I had only had, a year and a half of coaching, which is, very junior standards for anybody to actually open their own facility. But I knew that if I studied and did the things that needed to, or learned the things that I needed to learn, that it would be successful, right? And one of the things is that there's a couple of maxims that go there. An expert in any field is the person that's comfortable saying, well, I don't have that answer, but I'll go find it. The person that's up there just faking it, just oh yeah, and spouting out all this stuff. They're full of shit, right? So I was always totally comfortable. Hey, I don't have that answer for you. I'm gonna go do some research and I'll get back to you, whether it's nutrition or a movement or whatever, how to write out programming. One of the things I did have was this background in business, and I would bid and manage several multi-million-dollar projects or up to $1 million projects. The largest project I bid for previous company was $11 million. So I had the experience of, budgets and projections and, a budget over time. So like a lot of people that start gyms are quote unquote, gym rats. They don't have they've never seen a P&L, like what you say, give me pro forma sheets. They're like,
Yeah.
what, so like, understanding how to set my price points and, what the expenses would be. And they're relatively stable in this business. It's not like we're dealing with like crazy supply chain issues or anything like that. It's like, rent, utilities, insurance is stable, and wages grow with membership with the demand. So anyway, I had that going for me, which a lot of gym owners don't, and maybe that's why they fail, because they'll set their price point at something like, well, this is what the gym down the street is charging. Oh, that's great. What's that mean for you?
Yeah. So I think that's super important to like a new entrepreneur is you don't need to know everything. Like if you're opening a gym and you have, like, you didn't have all the CrossFit experience, but you did, or sorry, not the CrossFit business experience. You did have general business experience. That's one thing you brought into this specific business now. But people, if you're listening to this, you don't need, if you are willing to admit you don't know the answers to everything, but you do have the passion that Dave has. You're like, dude, I want to watch that girl do her first pull-up. I want that to be what I do every single day. That's how I want to spend my time. You don't need to know everything. You don't have to have all the answers for everything. And even if you didn't know the business side of it, dude, ask around. Even if you don't know, there's guys out there, there's girls out there that they're going to help you. Just ask. If you have the desire to help people, get in there and do it. One thing I want to ask you though, let's say you're a day one guy, brand new, you're looking at starting a CrossFit business or any business for that matter. What would be your advice to that person right away? First thing.
I would say find a mentor and listen to them. Like I was, I had mentor groups and peer groups and things like that from very early on, but I was very reticent to absorb the knowledge. And it's weird because one of my favorite quotes is like, never cease your pursuit to be qualified for the position you hold. And I've always read, relentlessly and, listening to podcasts and listening to books and all kinds of stuff. But I was just kind of a brick wall when it came to how to run my business or get feedback on that. And I think it slowed me down. I think I'd be further ahead if I would. And I'm in the opposite position now. I've had a bunch of friends, former coaches that have left to start their own business, and they come and they talk to me and I give them advice and they don't listen. And then, I'm thinking about one particular friend. It's 3 years down the road. He's exactly where he was 3 years ago when he just started. And I'm telling him the exact same thing, trying to, guide him and maybe he's receptive to it now, but but I would say, find those mentors, find the people out there that are doing what you want to be doing, not that are at the position you're at, but that are above you, or more successful, and figure out what they've done and see if you can figure out how they do it. If they'll tell you how they've done it, those are the people you need to listen to.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of guys out there. There's lots of people out there that will help you if you just ask. So many higher level entrepreneurs or very high level entrepreneurs want to pass on their knowledge. They learned all this stuff and they want to tell somebody, so ask them, just ask them, how do I start a business? How do I run a CrossFit gym? How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I operate my billing system? There's just so many different things you can ask somebody who's already there. And mentors are like a cheat code for life. So they're going to get you 10 steps ahead, and you don't need to spend those years growing and failing and constantly falling forward. You can just ask somebody and they can help you. I want to shift gears real quick. Not only do you run a CrossFit gym, but you strangle people for fun. So you're in Jiu Jitsu, you compete in Jiu Jitsu, you take Jiu Jitsu classes. Maybe tell us why you jumped into martial arts, kind of the backstory of that.
Oh man, it's deep. Short answer is, it's kind of a similar story to my foray into CrossFit. Is that I've had buddies that have grappled or done jujitsu, and they're like, oh, you got to try it. And it's something I've wanted to do for years and years. And then, full disclosure, I wrestled at junior high and, just my freshman year of high school. So I'm not like some, crazy experienced wrestler, and I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old boy. And I want my 4-year-old to do these things. I want to have experiences and to share experiences with him. And so my 4-year-old's been doing it. We started basically on the same day. And so that's, the short answer. I wanted to have a bonding type of thing that my sons and I can do, and they're 4 and 2, they got a lot of growing up to do. I just pray that they'll stick with this, so it's kind of weird little, like, I want to push them, but like, I'm just kind of like letting them find their own fun with it. And so my 4-year-old, we've both done 2 comps, so like, thanks for blowing me up. I've done 2 competitions.
Pretty good though. That's more than most people out there. Most people just drive by the gym every day and see it.
Yeah, I'm 2 for 3 on actual matches, 3 for 4 technically, because I had a DQ no show on one. But for sure. But for me, it's like there's something very profound about finding your true limits, and I'm all about that. Like, I want to, physically, mentally, in my relationships, all those sorts of things. Like, I'm trying to push out of my comfort zone and unlock my true potential, and I hope that I can inspire others to do that. And so, getting on the mats with another dude about the same weight, same age as you, and just kind of throwing down and see what happens. It kind of lets you know where you're at. And honestly, like, when I started jujitsu, whatever, I'm 14 months in, it's not like, it's been a long journey for me. It's still in my infancy very much. One of my biggest goals is I would love to get my black belt before my son turns 16, right? Because you can't till he gets his blue belt, right? Because you can't get a blue belt in jujitsu until you're 16 years old. So I'm praying my son sticks with it, and 12 years from now, injury-free, staying consistent, I'll be able to get my black belt. I lost what I was going to say. Oh, but it's super humble, right? Like, so you get on the mats. I weigh like 230 when I started, and here's this like 120 pound, purple belt lady, and you're like, oh, I could crush her. I'm strong, and like, and she just, laughing the whole time while she's just decimating you. And it's like, it is such a humbling experience, and it's really taught me to be like, you really don't know. You're sitting at a bar or a restaurant or whatever, and like, you think you could take that dude. You're like, you have no idea what, if that guy's got some skills, he's not telegraphing out to the world. Like, so I'm a lot more humble now.
It's still nice to have, absolutely. And that's one of the things I think martial arts helps you with, being humble, but also having kind of a calm confidence to where, if something were to happen and you were to be, involved in a physical altercation, you would at least have a significant set of skills, like Liam Neeson's, a specific set of skills. Sorry, that's what he says. That can help you out in that situation.
I haven't seen the whole episode, but there's one like Joe Rogan podcast where somebody's talking to him. He's like, what practicality does jujitsu have? And he just looks at the guy and he's like, well, if we got in a fight, I would kill you.
And it's just so simple. It's just like, I would kill you in a
matter of fact.
Fight. I could absolutely destroy you at any point. At any point. So martial arts, combat martial arts specifically, like jujitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, they give you, like I said, a calm level of confidence. How does that translate for you into business, or does it?
I'm a big like Jocko fan. I've met the guy, I've read his books, and he's a really cool dude. If you ever get a chance to like have a 5-minute conversation with him, but but so you look at it, jiu-jitsu is a metaphor for life, and I'm like trying to find that profound lesson, from my professor or my coaches and things like that. And they're there. I mean, maybe the most profound one I've heard was, I can't remember who was talking about it, but it was like, jiu-jitsu teaches you to never turn your back on your problems. It was actually, I think it was on the Real AF. It was the dude from Detroit that was just on Jason something. To always keep your problems in front of you, never turn your back on your problems. And I think that is simple and maybe the only lesson I've learned so far from jujitsu that I can actually apply, to my business, to my relationships, as a father and a husband, and my coworkers, my employees, and everything.
One thing I'll say is that I with combat martial arts, the good thing, and really any form of combat that you've been in, when you go into a business conversation, any sort of conversation, you've already been in a physical fight with someone, like in front of a crowd of people, right?
Yeah.
You've already done that. What is this going to do? What's this guy going to say to me? No, who cares? He's not going to, I mean, he's not going to beat me up in front of a crowd of people. He's going to, the worst case scenario is going to say no. And if you've been in martial arts and like specifically combat where you're hand to hand with somebody, you've already gone through the tough stuff. This is easy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we have a relatively new coach on the floor, and all my coaches like to learn our sales process, which is really just helping people. It's like you come in and we're helping them. Like we're not, sales, like, sales is, sometimes thought of as this sleazy operation, but it's like we're helping them. They came through our door because they have a problem. I want to lose weight, get stronger, look better. I want my wife to look at me a certain way, or hey, I want to put that 2-piece on, and when I hit the beach, all the ladies are jealous, whatever. But so he had a client come in and he didn't close the sale, and we're luckily there was like a follow-up. I said, hey man, what's the worst thing that can happen? He's like, oh, we don't get the sale. I said, no, the worst thing that happens is we don't have the opportunity to help that person if they're ready to have our help. They're ready for that. And he kind of looked at me. I was like, listen, we make money. The lights are on. We turn a profit. Your paychecks are all covered. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. But now all we really need to do is make sure we're helping all the people that need help.
Yeah.
And it was kind of this, aha moment for him. And I think it really kind of fired him up. He's like, holy cow. It's the only pressure is that, for this business and the staff. And,
and if you're a coach at a CrossFit gym already, you're already thinking, I like helping people. You could easily just go work out on your own. But if you're a coach and you're already in that room, you already want to help people. So relaying that information to somebody is easy.
It's an interesting profession, and maybe it's just fitness trainers in general, but it's one of the few professions where if you ask the people, if you woke up tomorrow, money was an object, you could do whatever you want to do. It's something like 90% of CrossFit coaches say, oh, I'd get up and go to the gym tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. I'd go to work, and then I get my workout in or whatever, but it's like 90% of the CrossFit coaches surveyed or trainers, it's like they all say it, it's it really is a blessing to be able to help people. The Spiro, the name of the gym is Latin. It comes from my family motto. It says Semper Spiro across my chest. It means always hope, and so that's part of our mission anyway. And it exists in many, CrossFit gyms and hopefully other fitness facilities. There's certain models that, they really, really, really want to help people, and others are more about unfulfilled memberships. But anyway, that's what we do. Yeah.
That's awesome. So Dave, I know you're busy. We gotta wrap this up. It's been a lot of fun. I think we could probably talk for another 2-3 hours about working out, jiu-jitsu, and probably a lot of other things. Got to wrap this up though. And so one thing, we're going way off topic here then. This question I'm going to ask you has absolutely nothing to do with anything we've been talking about, but it relates to my business. Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Get warmed up. I know this is seriously deep, and you're probably going to cry at the end. No. So
it happens. I'm an emotional dude, man.
What's that?
I'm an emotional dude. I'm a sensitive guy, really am.
So I buy and sell land. That's what the business I'm in. The podcast is called LandLife, crazy enough. So one question I like to ask everybody at the end of every podcast is, if you could buy land anywhere in the country, actually let's do anywhere in the world. If you could buy vacant land anywhere in the world, you could develop it, live there forever, or just own something. Where would it be and why?
I can only speak from the places I've been, and there's places I think that I'd like to go, but you really don't know. There's a lot of places you go and you're like, oh, this is nowhere near the hype, But I love the mountains, and I have this vision of me retiring, in a mountain, maybe not a log cabin, but maybe it is a log cabin, but not like a 1800s log cabin. Some nice
high-end log cabin.
Yeah. So I've been fortunate enough to live in almost every state in this country. I've not been to Alaska. I've not been to North Dakota, but like I love northern Wyoming as you get into like Yellowstone, Montana, even eastern Idaho over there. So like, somewhere around the Tetons or Jackson or up in there, like, yeah, I would love that. My wife, she wants beach, but I would take a alpine lake in the Rockies, for sure. That's where I want to live, and away from people. Only the people I invite get to come be with me. I think that's I've done a lot of work serving others, and now I'm, I think I'd retire and just quiet.
Awesome. So CrossFit Spiro Teton is coming next.
Yeah, maybe.
Get ready for that.
Maybe.
Right on. Hey, Dave, it's been awesome, dude. I really appreciate it. You got anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, thanks for your time. I really appreciate being on your podcast. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. All right, guys. Remember, like, subscribe, 5 stars. LandLife. I'll see you next time. Thanks.